Climate Council bill comes out of concern for understanding that we have made some commitments at the COP26 recently, and the Prime Minister has spoken about the Panch Tattva, that how are we going to the 5 ways of how we are going to be reducing our carbon footprint, how we are going to be transitioning to renewable sources of energy. At the same time, we have to prioritize. The Climate Council bill suggests that the Prime Minister leads the Council, where he looks at all state environment ministers as well as forest ministers who are on board, who are talking about challenges in their states, and we have the Prime Minister immediately taking decisions and calls on this. Yeah. So we do have some interstate councils which we are discussing about, which are used to resolve such challenges, because my state may not have the same issues as maybe Odisha or Uttar Pradesh. But we do have coastal cities and coastal lines where our cities stand threatened because of, as per the IPCC report. There is a clear understanding that every state would have to cut down. We are looking at, even if we are looking at it in silos with not a total policy in place and a discussion not happening in terms of a central policy, but the states are extremely concerned and they are facing an impact of climate change, whether we're talking about small states like Uttarakhand, which are tourism states, or I'm talking about a big state like Maharashtra, which is actively involved in transitioning to green economy. So we have to keep all of those concerns. So even if we do not have a climate policy in place, but we do have our goals in mind, and every state is working towards. I'd like to begin with, yes, we are facing a heat wave, and yes, every single citizen of the country at this point in time is alarmed with the rising, instances of heat waves, and we haven't even hit the peak as yet. It is only going to get hotter for us. And I can only remember that instance where I think it was Roberts and Parks in their 2006 who said developing countries are going to face double the injustice of climate change. And that they say at the back of 2 reasons, that we are going to face the brunt of the climate change, as well as we are asked to be, or rather we are told that we are the center stage of finding solutions to addressing climate change at the expense of our economy. But as a nation, we also understand, it has been at the forefront of our conversations, even in the parliament, we have been discussing it, we have been talking about our commitment, our Prime Minister has been punching above his weight, I would say above its weight. India has been talking about the need for transition, because transition for us is not just related to our economy, but is also part of environment, is a very integral part of how we as a country are, the cultural history that we have. Till 2030, we are looking at transitioning to about 500 gigawatts of other sources of energy and renewable energy. We are also talking about phasing out coal as much as we can, but at the same time, we are also standing at the cusp of our economic trajectory moving to another level altogether. We have a vast population to look after and energy securities to address. So that is where we stand. We are also hoping that when we talk about climate finance, the developed world would come forward and address it from the point of equity and climate justice, which we are not seeing. So we are looking at tech support, we are looking at resource support, we are looking at research support, and we are looking at funds in terms of climate finance, because there will be huge amounts of public investments that would be required. So when we talk about building infrastructure, I'm very certain India would look at options, energy options, but its first priority would be energy security for its citizens. And that is a trade-off that we are making. So while we're talking about a long-term vision of creating infrastructures in terms of natural gas that we were speaking about, vis-a-vis what we have at hand currently and what is easy for us to transition into. And we are seeing that as far as India is concerned, Indian citizens are concerned, they're very receptive to the idea of transition. But we also have to look at how it impacts our economy. Like I said, public investment would be huge. And how much is United States of America committed to supporting India in that transition? Climate change, health parameters, as well as the cost of living, right? We cannot look at one and excluding the other two. So as far as heat waves are concerned, this is something that we are facing not just because India created that kind of a situation. We are facing, it's a global impact that we are facing. Our priority right now would be to ensure that we create a situation where we are, of course, looking at climate mitigation measures, but we are also creating an atmosphere where they have the very basic needs that person needs to live a dignified life.